On the Monday Night Football, they will go in depth on that huge talking point and the impact it has had on the title race and relegation as well. But I caught up with Jamie Carragher in the M&F studio a little earlier. Yeah, it is the perfect day to have a Monday Night Football, isn't it? I feel that even an hour and a half build-up still isn't enough to talk about everything from the weekend, especially what happened at the London Stadium yesterday. I know you're going to do a deep dive and talk in depth about that VAR controversy. Tell us what we can expect tonight.
Well, yeah, we've been looking at it all morning, as you'd expect. So we're going to get to the bottom of it, hopefully before 6:30. That is the plan. But we want to try and give it the detail it deserves. And as I said, because it wasn't just about, the top of the table, it had an effect on so many other teams. And I actually said before the weekend, it feels like the biggest game of the season because it affected 4 teams. So it's 2 teams involved, plus Spurs, plus Manchester City as well. To get the controversy at the end. Could have went either way, I suppose. People have seen it differently, and yeah, we'll get into that. But there was a lot more in the game as well. It wasn't just about that one decision. It was, a fascinating watch.
Looking forward to hearing your opinion and, your guest tonight in Jermaine Defoe as well. But do we feel like that moment, when we're looking at the emotion, could that go down in history? We look back at the Aguero moment, for example. Will that go down as one of those big moments, do we think?
If Arsenal win the league,
yeah.
Which I think I said last week, if they win at West Ham, they win the league. So I think they've got a great chance. I mean, I still believe that. Anybody to do with Arsenal, whether you're a player or a fan, won't believe that because that's the nature of the game. You always think the worst is round the corner. But they've got a really favourable fixture, I think, coming next, Burnley at home. And then, yeah, they've got a game away at Crystal Palace. Obviously, it's not easy, but, if you were picking a fixture, that would probably one that you'd pick away from home, considering the European commitments they've got.
You talked about some of the other sort of big moments in that game as well. Obviously, you'd be looking at the Trossard winner, but even before that, the David Raya save. Some people could say Fernandes, he could have maybe taken a touch less. But when we're looking at David Raya this season, how just important has he been, especially if Arsenal do go on and lift the Premier League title? It's
not just this season. It's the call to bring him in. And it wasn't universally popular. I think when the change was made, I was probably quite adamant at the time that I felt Arsenal needed to move on from Ramsdale, who was a good Premier League goalkeeper. I just didn't think you could win the Premier League with him in goal. Now, it remained to be seen whether he was the guy, but it was a brave decision. I think the fact that the former coach of David Raya at Brentford, I think, moved to Arsenal. So probably gave him a little bit of an insight how good a goalkeeper he was, but he's been a revelation. And I think on this show, probably a couple of months ago, we made a big play about the fact of whose goalkeeper would you want to try and go on and win the league? So to Donnarumma at Man City or David Raya, and he's certainly won that battle. He's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League and arguably one of the best. Well, he's definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He could certainly have that mantle.
Won the Golden Glove, hasn't he, this season? So you're sticking by the fact that you said if Arsenal won against West Ham, they'd win the league? You're staying with that? This is how you see it now, a couple of games for them to go?
Yeah. I think they'll win the league now. I think they just got over that little wobble that they had. There's a couple of games against Manchester City. And, since then, they've been really impressive. Not always in terms of, performances, but they haven't looked nervous. They haven't looked edgy. There was probably 4 or 5 games spell where it looked like they're coming off track, but they look like they're back on it now.
If you're Arsenal fans, though, you don't care about the performances so much, do you?
Oh, no.
You want to win the title.
No, that's the same with every team. We always say, at this stage of the season, it's not about performance, it's about points. It's always about points at any stage of the season.
That's how it works.
Exactly. Right? So, no, they're doing it the way they do it. It's not as probably eye-catching as Manchester City, but we've had those debates all season or for years now, about different sort of styles of football. It's about getting across the line, getting it, that trophy won. And it's, I think they're virtually there.
If you're City, then what's the mindset now? Because I imagine they're feeling pretty deflated.
I think the mindset for them is the Crystal Palace game that comes next, where they could put real pressure on Arsenal, is if they got a decent scoreline in that game. Now, they scored 3 at the weekend against Brentford. Arsenal obviously only got 1 against their West Ham. If they could win by 3 or 4 goals...
Just for the goal difference.
Yeah, I think that could put pressure on Arsenal and almost take that idea that you could afford to draw a game out the equation. If the goal difference was heavily in Manchester City's favour, you're making sure that on the last game of the season, if you like, if Man City win their games as well, but they could put real pressure where you have to make Arsenal win.
Yeah. They have.
And then you never know what happens. Crystal Palace get in there, score first, there's a red card, there's a VAR decision, who knows? But I think that could be something because the Crystal Palace game, they'll have the minds on the European game. Yes, I know Arsenal played them last game of the season as well. But I think that's where they could maybe add a little pressure if they won well against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, loads for you to get into tonight alongside Dave and Jermaine Defoe. M&F is live, as always, from 6:30 on Sky Sports Main Event. Yeah, looking forward to that. Mercer, word on David Raya then, because what a moment that was, the save. That came kind of before everything else, really. Great
save. Shouldn't be allowed to save it, in my opinion. It's a big, big chance that it's got to score. It's got to score. It's more of a big miss for me than big save.
Too many touches?
Too many touches, and all his shapes horribly wrong as he does. You know, you can go pick through this. You know, as he gets it, great bit of play there, great touch, and then bend it in the corner. Tries to be. By the time, if you keep on watching it, by the time he takes his shot, he's virtually falling over. That can't happen. If you watch Harry Kane or any top centre forward, they're all quick feet. He's stretching, his foot's not in the right place, it gives way, and then he goes, you know, don't get me wrong, top save, but it's a top miss as well. It's a top miss.
That's a good way of putting it. It felt like the end of that game just had all the drama. You, of course, played in that famous 1989 game at Anfield, which, you know, won you the title after a long period without one. Did the drama yesterday feel close to that?
In a different way. But yeah, I mean, for TV-wise, for neutrals, you know, it was unbelievable last night. If you were sitting on holiday and you was reading a book and you said this was going to happen, you'd throw the book in the sea. You go, oh, that can't happen, can it? There's a minute to go, and Arsenal need to win and West Ham need to get at least a draw. And if they don't, Arsenal could lose the league. And then all of a sudden that happens. I mean, it was, yeah, absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, I mean, VAR, I'm not a great lover of VAR. You know, I think there's no bigger buzz than scoring a football goal. You know, it's amazing to score a goal in front of 30, 40, even 5,000 or whatever. But that buzz of it in the back of the net is just getting taken away more and more every week, more and more. And we need to try and sort this out. Because when you're in the stands as a fan and that ball goes in the back of the net, you go mad. Now, I give it 2 more years and I don't see anybody ever jumping up and I don't see anybody celebrating because they'll just have to wait and see if VAR are going to give it or not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a lengthy wait yesterday, but I guess they didn't want to get it wrong, did they?
No, but I've always said as well, you know, when you're going to VAR, you're looking for it not to be clear and obvious. If it's taking that long, was it clear and obvious? That's the problem. And I know we can say, we can take as long as you want. But if something's so clear and obvious, it won't take long. It won't take long. It will take you no time at all. You know, I've watched on Soccer Saturday, you know, I've seen the decision, I've gone, it's a goal, or that's a free kick. You know, I haven't had to look 20, 30 times. I remember the Tottenham-Chelsea game, Ange's game, when Chelsea won 4-1 and like had 2 players sent off and Tottenham. I remember that. I made every one of them decisions within 10 seconds. And VAR was taking minute after 5 minutes after 6 minutes. I always say, if it's going to take you more than a minute to dissect it and pick it out, it wasn't clear and obvious. So get on with the game.
Right, I'm not going to ask you any more about VAR, OK? It feels that Arsenal...
Till next week.
Till next week. The title is within touching distance for Arsenal now. We saw Ian Wright on Super Sunday yesterday saying that if Arsenal win the title and the Champions League as well, that will surpass the Invincibles. Where do you stand on that? Got to?
I would say it's got to. But winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League could be done again. Being invincible will never be done again. Plus, winning the league and winning the Champions League's already been done. But no one's been invincible before by that team. So it's a lot harder to go invincible. It's a lot harder to go invincible in this day and age.
So you don't agree? Different.
Yeah, I don't, because 2 teams have already... I think it's 2 teams have already... Man United and Man City have already done that. But they haven't been invincible. So...
All right.
Sorry, Righty.
I get it.
I love Righty.
No, I know
but
you do. You're